Welcome to this live stream. We're going to be drawing together with DrawPile.net. It's a collaborative web-based drawing application where we can draw on the same canvas. So you can draw around me or you can draw on me. We're doing this live stream today to celebrate my channel reaching 75,000 subscribers on YouTube. Thanks everybody for watching and subscribing over the years. Couldn't have done it without you. So some people have joined. I'm allowing a maximum of 30 people. So if we get more people than that want to join, we can see how that works. I don't know what the maximum number of people we can add is. So for the people who are joining now, I do have instructions in the video description that talks a little bit about how to enable pen pressure. You may have to kind of tweak some things a bit here and there, move some palettes around. You may have to pan your page. You're going to want to draw within the white border because that's what's being shown in the live stream. You can certainly draw outside of that if you want to, but that's probably not going to show up. Ignore the fact that the background is green, just it has to be that way. You'll notice in the layers palette, which can be found in the bottom, well actually you can see it here on screen, over in the bottom right, there's input and then there's layers. There's a little tab at the very bottom of the screen. If you click on layers, then you can choose which layer you want to paint on, and I've set these layers that say draw here for specific tasks. For example, you can see the drawing that I'm working on, which is on the line art and the color one layer. The line art is just the black lines. Those are on a separate layer that's on top of everything else, so that I can draw on the color layer 1, 2, or 3 layers underneath, and my color doesn't cover up my black lines. So it's up to you if you want to draw that way. You don't have to draw that way if you don't want to, but if you do, then feel free to do it like that. You can also draw on the background layer if you want to put in a background or if you don't want to use layers. And the other layers are locked because that's just not layers that need to be drawn on. So, yay, back to drawing. Feel free to just take a space on the canvas. If you want to draw together, that's fine. Just try to be respectful of everybody's drawing and don't draw anything offensive. I can block people from the room, and I certainly will do that if anybody draws anything offensive. So just, like I said in the description, don't draw anything that you wouldn't tattoo on your face. So, but you will find that this application is very similar to a lot of the digital painting applications out there. There's a lot of similarities. It's just things are organized a bit differently. Now don't worry about drawing anything that's going to impress anybody because I'm just doodling here, I'm not capable of drawing anything really awesome in DrawPile myself, because it's not set up in a way that I'm comfortable drawing. This is more to have fun and to celebrate. Thank you everybody who's subscribed to my channel and who's watched my videos over the years. Alright, got my little purple monster thing. And I'll go down to the color 2 layer. I'll add some inner part of the mouth there. And back to the line art layer so that I can add a little line there. This could be the next McDonald's character here. Krinkle Cat says, "What should I do? It's a green screen." Well, I guess I'll give away some of my behind-the-scenes video magic here. So, just to give you an idea of how this is working, this is what I'm seeing, okay? And this is what you're going to see if you join the session. The background has to be green in order for me to do this and be able to show myself here. So I'm just going to drop myself out, actually, because I don't even need to be here. And we can draw all over this area here. So it's got to be green, but just paint on top of the green and ignore it. Now, keep in mind that you do not want to choose green for any of your colors, because if you do, then it's not going to show up in the live stream. So I wouldn't even use anything near green, like a yellow green or even like a teal, because that might not show up, or it might be kind of transparent. We got Krinkle Cat Drawing here, awesome. I don't know who's drawing with a mouse and who's not, but again, you can turn pen pressure on, and that's in the bottom right under layer, or bottom right. Sorry, it's on the right side in your brush panel here. You can see me pointing to it, and then if you check pressure for size, that's how you turn it on. You can control opacity as well with your pen pressure. And then of course you want to be on the brush tool, which is up here in the top in the menu bar. So we got some doodling going on. It's a success. I know that took a little while to get going, and I appreciate everybody being patient. Next time we do this, I'll know exactly how to fix that problem. In fact, it won't be a problem now because I've added DrawPile as an exception. So I'll just kind of answer some questions too. I mean, since stuff is going on the screen here, I don't have to feel so pressured to be drawing all the time. I'm going to go ahead and just, well, I'll leave my little character there. If people want to draw on top of it and add to it, add accessories to it, or do anything to it, feel free to draw on top of my drawing or paint over it completely if you want to. It doesn't need to stay there. But I'll try to answer some comments and questions and focus a little bit on that too. So I'm Awesome is still timing out. Let me come back to that question real quick. Siratim says, I can't draw, gives me a no access sign. You want to look over in the layers panel here, which is in the bottom right, and just make sure that you're clicked on top of one of these layers that says draw here. So if you're going to draw line art, do it on the line art layer. If you're going to draw colors, background colors, do that on the color layers. Or you can just draw on this draw here background layer. You can see me pointing to it over here in the live stream on the bottom right. If you're still timing out, I'm Awesome. Maybe try closing DrawPile and make sure that there's not multiple instances open, because you can open multiple instances of DrawPile, and so you might still be trying to connect to that old session. So just close all instances of DrawPile and then try to reconnect. And I know this happened to me once before, and I was trying to connect to my friend. We were in the exact same room, and we were on two different computers, and we were trying to connect, and it wouldn't work. And I don't think that was because of the firewall. I think what ended up fixing it was restarting the computer, so you could try restarting your computer too. Oh, Welcome to Music has another tip. Thank you, Welcome to the Music. You're being very helpful here. I don't know what I'd do without you. Welcome to the Music says, go to Edit Preferences, Network Timeout. Kids Tree says, how can I draw with you? Follow the instructions in the description of the video, and that should get you going. I'm Awesome says, a mouse is bloody hard to use. It definitely is very hard to use. There are some shape tools that you could try as well. Or if people want to, you can of course chat. I would recommend just using the YouTube chat. But if anybody wants to offer to let somebody color their drawing, then perhaps people who have tablets can draw the black lines, since that's easier, and then people with the mouse can color. If people want to offer up their drawings that way and do some collaborative stuff. People are welcome to draw on my drawing as well, and I'll go ahead and draw some more stuff so people with the mouse can color it in. I'll give this dragon monster thing here a cane. Or a scepter, who knows what that is. Can you use a scepter as a cane? That's what I want to know. So just as a piece of advice, for anybody who's coloring in line art, if you want to make it a million times easier on yourself, rather than coloring on the line art layer, go down to one of those layers beneath the line art and color on the color 1, color 2, color 3, or background layers. And that'll make it so you're not painting on top of your black lines and covering them up. Now, I was also having an issue where my line did not meet up with the tip of my pen cursor when I was drawing, and I think I fixed that by going into the preferences, and I checked something that said, let's see what it said. Enable bug workarounds. If you check that, that will fix the calibration of your pen tip. This is fun. I'm glad we got this going. Tony wants to know if I can make episodes where I teach you how to start drawing. If you can be more specific, because I mean, I have a lot of videos that teach drawing, but do you mean videos that are specific to how to start? Like if you don't know where to start or how to get started? Or do you mean like how to start drawing if you know nothing about it? Jordan says I can't draw. What's the problem? You want to make sure that over in the layers palette here in the bottom right, that you click on the layers tab down here at the bottom, and then you click on one of these draw here layers. Tony Cha says learn to draw anatomy and stuff. Well, I do have the how to draw an eye tutorial. I have a few really basic older videos that talk a little bit about drawing anatomy, but not really a whole lot. So I would check those out. I mean, I do. Yeah, I mean, I have something basic. If you search my channel for figure drawing or anatomy, I probably even have a playlist for it, which is probably figure drawing, something along those lines. Those ought to be helpful, and really when it comes down to it, if you really want to do a very detailed anatomy video, it almost has to be like a series or a course. And I'll talk about this in more detail a little bit later, because I'll talk about it more in a video that's coming out a little bit later on my channel. But there's a reason why I don't do a whole lot of really long videos, and basically what it comes down to is it takes a long time to make longer videos, you know, as far as like editing and production time and stuff like that. And really long videos don't get that many views. A lot of people don't have the attention span to sit down and watch, you know, 2-4 hour video series on YouTube. There's people who definitely will. You probably will. But I'm just saying from a practical business perspective or having success on your channel perspective, it's just not practical for me to make really long videos and invest that much time, because it's just not really, it's not driving the success on my channel. What ends up making more sense is if I'm going to make a course or something really long, then I put it on Gumroad and I make it an actual product, and then the people who really want to take the course will, of course, buy it. Now, that's not to say that in the future I'm not going to do more in-depth videos when I can. It's just at this point it's harder to do that as often. And so I have like a huge list of ideas like drawing anatomy and all kinds of different things that people have suggested, but I tend to prioritize based on what's easier for me to put together. So it's just, I don't know, it's difficult to do something like that. I want to, like, I'd like to have a whole video on how to draw a nose and then how to draw an ear and stuff like that, but I'd have to kind of do it a little bit at a time. So it's tricky. Somebody drew sunglasses. Thank you for that. Krinkle Cat did that. Thank you, Krinkle Cat. So Chelsea says, I'm trying to draw and instead the screen keeps moving. Up in the toolbar, up here in the very top on the left, I don't know if there's a pan. I don't think there's a pan tool, but you could try, just make sure that you're clicked on the brush tool up here so that you'll be drawing, because maybe you're panning the page. And if your canvas is not centered, you can hold down spacebar and that will grab it, and then you can move it around. Got some cool drawings going on here. We got a gopher, I think, a dead gopher, who's eating a bag of chips maybe. We got a smiley face and a My Little Pony maybe up there in the top. There's a bird on a branch. There's a little person peeking up in the bottom left. Alright, I'll add some more stuff here. Let's see, I'll add some color to my scepter. This application does get updated fairly regularly. It's usually kind of minor additions though, but what would be really cool, and I've said this before, but if this application was as powerful as something like Corel Painter or Krita, just think about how cool that would be, you know, to be able to draw on the same canvas at the same time using some really advanced tools. I think that would be awesome. Probably what'll happen, would be my guess, is one of these companies, you know, Adobe or somebody, will buy out DrawPile, or they'll make something similar, and it could even be that a lot of applications that aren't necessarily just art applications, but just about any creative application could have this feature at some point. You know, it could just be built in, just like saving your file is, or, you know, transforming, or any of these commands that are commonplace in most applications. And that's because it's possible to do something like this, you know, with people always say, you know, back in my day, you know, whatever, like back in my day with like dial-up internet, you wouldn't have been able to do this. It wouldn't have been possible. You didn't have the bandwidth to be able to stream video enough to even watch YouTube. So it's only becoming possible more recently that you can do collaborative works like this over the internet. I think that's pretty cool. And it's kind of a new art form in a sense too. Like you're taking, DrawPile didn't just come out. It's been out for a little while, you know, but it's not like it's been out for decades. So in a sense, even though you're not the first people to be drawing in it, you're still kind of pioneering or helping to pioneer a new art form. And, you know, you're maybe in 50 years from now, people who are your age will look back and see what you're doing and go, wow, like that's, you know, that's how this drawing together on a canvas thing started, and now it happens everywhere. And so it's pretty cool. Sunlight said, our Wi-Fi went out because of a storm. Suddenly everyone was talking to each other. And it's kind of the thing. People are so obsessed with their phones now, you know, like I'm guilty of that. We're so focused on technology. It's not necessarily a good thing. It's kind of one of those things where, depending on how you look at it, anything can be good or bad. And a lot of things are good and bad at the same time. But I think what's important is what you do with those things. You know, do you use it for good or do you use it for bad? And maybe there's some things where you can't help but do something bad by using it. You know, like consumerism is bad in a sense. There's a lot of negative aspects that go along with, you know, big corporations and money and all of this stuff that causes a lot of problems in the world, but we all feed that. Like we're feeding that now by being here on YouTube and on our computers and using the internet, using electricity and all of these things. But we're doing something good and doing something positive with those resources, and I think that outweighs whatever abstract bad consequences come from, doing a YouTube live stream. So that's kind of an interesting way to look at this. What is this a substitute for? Is this a substitute for actually going out and meeting other people at your school or at your work or, in your community who are artists and doing a collaboration with them? Or is it its own thing and it's not necessarily a replacement, and you can do both? And I think the latter is more correct. If you're drawing here right now, that's completely different than if you get 4 of your friends together and you try to simultaneously draw on the same canvas. You wouldn't be able to do it because your arms would get in the way of each other. And so we can do something here that you can't do in real life. I think that's kind of cool. But, some people could argue and say, well, why you have to do everything on the internet? People don't do things in real life anymore, and to some degree that's true. But, a big part of being human is adapting to your environment, and in evolution for all kinds of animals, plants, and microbes, if you don't adapt, then it's not good. You must adapt, and that's kind of what digital artists are doing nowadays. They're adapting. If you tried to be successful as a digital artist, and I'm talking in a professional sense, if you tried to do it the way that people did it in the 70s or, in the 50s or, much, much earlier than that, in the time of classical artists, it would be very, very hard, like you can't go to salons and you can't have your work shown there, and you can't, it's not as easy for the average person to do these things, to get into galleries, and everything is done over the internet nowadays, and that's where a lot of the opportunities are. And there's a lot of people, so many people, that if you try to pursue only opportunities that are off the internet, there's just way too much competition. And the market's oversaturated. Like I live here in Seattle, and if I went down to the art parts of downtown, Pioneer Square and stuff, and went to the galleries, people probably wouldn't have anything to do with me. And that's because you really have to be really well known. It's like you have to have a name for yourself, and I don't exactly know how you build that in every city, but here it's just kind of like who you know, and it's all like a front. Like, it's not necessarily always based on what you can do as an artist. It's like, it's image. And I don't really want to play the image game in that sense. So I don't. And I could give up and be like, well, I don't have the image, and not everybody knows who I am, and I didn't go to this school or that school, and I don't know this gallery owner and whatever. So I might as well give up on art. I don't have that attitude. I tried to play the game the way that people were playing it here, and I found that even if I was really, really good at it, it still wouldn't really be accomplishing the goals that I want to accomplish. Like, Seattle's just a city. YouTube, on the other hand, and the internet, that's the entire world, or most of the world that has the internet. It's a lot more people, and I personally get a lot more satisfaction knowing that even just you all sitting here today drawing with me, seeing my work, even if it's little purple monster king guy, that's still cool. That's a lot cooler to me than knowing that some people in Seattle know my work, but outside of that, nobody knows who I am. I'm doing a lot of talking, not very much drawing, but you know what? That's nice, because then I can focus more on answering questions. Plus, I want you all to be able to draw. You spend a lot of time watching me draw. This is a chance for you to draw and get exposure for your work, or just have fun and doodle, and be part of the community. Maybe you'll make some friends today. I encourage you, you know, if you all have YouTube channels, check out each other's channels. Do some collaborations together with DrawPile now that you know how to use it. It's not, well, I shouldn't say it's not hard to host a session, because you just watched me spend a half hour trying to do it. But it's not terribly difficult to do. So, you know, that might be a fun way to do collaborations together with each other to make YouTube videos. You can record your sessions. I think you can record them within DrawPile. So somebody has a question about the whole screen is green. It has to be green because it's a green screen. It's like when you go and watch a movie and there's the green screen effect where they have actors in front of a background that's not really there. That's exactly what we're doing here. And so you're seeing green, but on the live stream that green is not there. Reason being, I mean, this is for people who might have tuned in a little bit later. It's so I can be here. I'm covered up by stuff. I gotta find an opening there. Now I can see through. So that's why we're doing the green screen, so I could do that. If you watch some of my past live streams where I've used DrawPile, I've done things like pointed the camera at my cat and then I drew on my cat. Drew stuff in my into a video, which is kind of cool. And even stuff like this, like what I'm doing here, I'm sure somebody in some capacity has done something like this before, so I'm not in any way taking credit for doing green screen collaborative drawing in a live stream, because I know that's the kind of a complex thing. I'm sure it's been done, but it hasn't been done a lot, and it's not super commonplace to do, and that's kind of cool. Like, being able to combine technology and media together to not only just experience it for yourself, but to experience it with other people, I think that's pretty cool. I'm going to try something here. Whoops. Do not want to do that. Okay, I was going to see if it were possible to clear the contents of a layer. So I see somebody erasing. I thought you could just hit delete on that layer and it would clear what you were drawing, but apparently it's clearing what everybody's drawing when I do it, so I'm not going to do it that way. I guess using the eraser is probably the best way to do it. And if you've completed your drawing and you want to start something else or make some room for someone else, I know it's getting kind of crowded here, perhaps we can do that. Because people can go back and watch the video and your artwork's going to be there, it's not going anywhere. So just for the sake of having some new stuff on the screen, I think if anybody's done with their drawing, they want to start a new one, feel free to erase what you have and start another one. You can, if you want to kind of capture what's going on too, you can do a screen capture. So on that note, I apologize to anybody who helped me with my purple monster, but I'm going to clear out some of that so that there's more room for other people to draw here. Hopefully that's not a big deal. So I'm just using the eraser. Make a big eraser, and then I can get a lot of this. Alright, so feel free to draw over on this other part of the canvas if you're trying to get a spot to draw here. Sunlight Metal says, I love how skilled the people here are. I agree. It's nice to see so many people drawing together. And thank you to everybody who's making room on the canvas. And like I said, your art's it's here. It'll be in the recording of the live stream, and people will be able to see it. So use this as an opportunity to draw more than one thing if you want to. And for those of you starting another drawing, if anybody has suggestions for collaborations, somebody said let's pile. Let's all try to make space too for everybody. Oh, I think somebody's drawing got erased. Sorry. Well, I guess we're starting fresh here. It's getting chaotic now. Sorry to anybody whose drawing got erased. I didn't do it, I just erased mine, but maybe I was misunderstood in what I was requesting. I guess that's kind of one of the consequences of drawing on a canvas with a bunch of people who you don't know, and that this goes for real life too. Anything can happen, you know, and it's the risk of doing a collaborative work that you could collaborate with somebody and they could destroy a whole bunch of work that you put into something. Now this is going to just devolve into like a bunch of people erasing each other's work and scribbling on top of each other. We shouldn't let it go to that point. Somebody's drawn some nice fruit down there in the bottom right. I like that. I like the anime looking guy with the spiky hair. Did I say right? I meant left. Over on the left. Okay. What do I want to draw here? Do we have any requests? How about we take some requests from the audience? So for those of us who don't know what to draw, we can have some ideas. Draw a Pikachu. Could try to draw a Pikachu. I'm trying to draw this from memory, so I don't know if I remember exactly what Pikachu looks like. And as far as how long we're going to be doing this today, this is going to be a 2-hour live stream. I might go a little bit longer than 2 hours. We'll have to see. I know I got kind of a late start because we didn't get going until a little bit later. There, that's Pikachu from memory. Probably not a very accurate Pikachu. Show what method I use for drawing heads. I do kind of the old comic book way. So I'll do kind of a quick head. You know, I just do it like draw the little guides and you know, you learn all the tricks like how things are spaced out and I think when you draw enough heads, you don't really have to worry about methods so much. You know, you just need a few little guides here and there to tell you what it is that you are trying to accomplish. And if you draw enough heads, it kind of comes naturally. Messed up my layers there. Oh well. But if I was going to do a more detailed, bigger head, I guess it would make a little more sense to spend more time on the sketch. The Loomis method is a good method, but I'm doing it kind of more in like the you know, Marvel comic book kind of way. That's just because I was really into comic books when I was younger. So I'd always try to draw comic book art. Not always, but I draw a lot of comic book art, or try to at least. And that's just the method that I learned. There's a much better Pikachu down there at the bottom. Batman. Someone's throwing a Pokeball at Pikachu. Swirl's using this video as a podcast for drawing because I can't get on. Sorry, Swirl. You could try some of the advice in the comments. I think you could go to Edit Preferences, Network and Timeout. You could try that. No, you don't have to make your own canvas, Alex. You just have to click on one of the layers in the layers palette down here in the bottom right that says Draw Here. You might also not be looking at the right part of the screen. You can pan your view of the screen by holding spacebar and moving it around, and you can zoom in and out down here at the bottom, the little zoom slider. SD Rockman says thank you. Do another little doodle of a head here from a side view. I know these are too small to really tell much. I don't want to take up too much of the canvas here for my demonstration. And I'm pretty sure within my collection of figure drawing videos, I probably have something on drawing the head as it relates to the body, but those really aren't the best, most detailed videos because they're some of my older videos. So if I were going to redo them, I'd probably put a lot more work into it and describe a little bit more. I think I just did some kind of quick sketches like I'm doing here. But anatomy it's pretty in-depth. That's kind of the problem. It's a difficult thing to explain concisely because you have to know about proportion, you have to know about all the different facial features, you have to know about the differences in facial features between gender and age. There's the different points of view. Are you looking at it from the front? Are you looking at it from the side? Then there's lighting, there's coloring a face, there's, you know, stylistic faces versus photorealistic faces. There's all the fine details like skin imperfections and eyelashes and, you know, painting each thing, like painting each eye and each nose and each ear and the teeth, and there's just so many different things you have to learn that it's hard to find a lesson about it. You can find some generalized stuff that's kind of short, but that doesn't really help somebody who's an absolute beginner. I think what you have to do as a beginner who wants to get good at drawing anatomy is you have to just take it one bite at a time and, you know, focus just on eyes and focus just on noses and focus just on mouths until you understand each of those things, and then approach it all as a whole. Doing portraits is a good way to get practice doing all of that stuff, because when you're doing a portrait, you're painting everything and you're paying very close attention. But at the same time, in order to paint a portrait successfully, you have to know some stuff about human anatomy. So it's like the chicken and the egg. And really the best way to start is just to take a bite out of it and just pick one thing and go, okay, I'm going to do just mouths today. And if you get bored with it, you know, move on to something else. Don't feel like you have to master drawing a mouth before you can move on to a nose and so on. You're going to get better and better at drawing each thing as you go along. The more you draw, the more you're going to memorize it and so on. Very nice drawings going on here. I like how everybody kind of spread out and now there's more room to draw. Kind of looks like Wonder Woman, my face drawing there now. Just filling in the body there a little bit. I'm being silent here because I'm just looking around admiring what's going on here on the canvas. I'm in awe. Alex is drawing the woman in the bottom. Nice, Alex. Glad you could finally start drawing. Welcome to Music says, must say this is pretty fun. Well, you had to have done this before. Welcome to the music. If you knew all those nice tricks. For me, I'm kind of, you know, I'm not completely new to DrawPile, but I've really only used it, you know, a dozen times maybe. So to a certain extent, I kind of a beginner, I guess, because there's a lot of advanced stuff you can do with it, like, people setting up like permanent sessions on websites and like, making all kinds of custom programming related stuff, and a bunch of techie stuff that I don't even attempt to wrap my head around. Pigeon Milk says, how did I get this set up to allow the multi-draw? Well, this is just DrawPile, so all I'm doing is live streaming an application that already exists. You can get it at drawpile.net. Hopefully that's what you're asking. And yes, Oscar's got it. In the description there are instructions. Thank you, Oscar. Oh, welcome to the music is just, you're a genius, welcome to the music. First time they heard about DrawPile today. I like how Wonder Woman is evolving here. The fearless cat burglar Wonder Woman. Mr. Nobody has a good question. Are there any downloads that can be used on your own that are free? Krita seems too complicated and some painting programs are expensive. I use a Huion tablet. So I think what you're asking is, are there any other free art applications that are good? You can search my channel for best free art applications, and I actually have a pretty good video that recommends, I think, 8, something like that, 5 or 8 or however many, it doesn't really matter, but I review a bunch of them, the ones that I think are the best, and I go into pretty extensive detail about why I think they're good or why I think they're bad. So there's some other options besides Krita, but spoiler alert, Krita is the one that I rank as being the best. But kind of like you mentioned, like, you want an application that's not overly complicated, and Krita is definitely overly complicated, and that's why I like it. Not because I consider it to be overly complicated, but because it's sophisticated enough for me, and I like a certain level of complexity. So you might try something else. There's some other ones that are a little bit simpler, like Medibang, which is also known as Fire Alpaca. There's a few other ones in there you can check out. But it would be worth it in the long run to learn Krita, because Krita can do so much more, and really you're going to want some of that stuff later that Krita can do. So it doesn't hurt to be proficient in more than one art application, so you could certainly start with something simpler just to be able to grasp the concept of drawing digitally. There's nothing wrong with that. And then once you have a better understanding of the basics, then you can move on to something like Krita. Then Krita will make a lot more sense after you have some experience. But I do find it's a little hard to work in. I'm sure if I worked with it a lot, I'd know exactly where everything is, but I don't find it to be one of the most intuitive applications, and my favorite application is Corel Painter. It's hard for me to say how difficult Corel Painter is to use, because I've been using it for a long time, and so for me it's not hard to use because I know where everything is, and I can't exactly remember how I felt about it when I first started using it, but it was one of the first digital art applications that I used as far as contemporary applications that you would use with a Wacom tablet, and I stuck with it for a reason, because it was comfortable for me to use, and it did enough sophisticated things to make it a good application. So Corel Painter is not free, so I know that doesn't help. You want a free application, but that's also something to keep in mind. You could start with something free and then eventually move to something paid, but you know, something even like ArtRage would be a good option. ArtRage is pretty sophisticated, but it's pretty simple and it's not very expensive. And Seratim says it is a pain, but it's awesome, and it's also open source and free software. Just like DrawPile here, DrawPile is also open source and free. Open source means that anybody can add to it and make it better, and I think that's awesome. Mr. Nobody has Corel Painter Essentials 5, but it's a free download that runs out in a few days. Essentials is the light version of Corel Painter, so it's very watered down. That probably makes it a little bit easier to draw with, but if you were trying to follow my tutorials that I have on my YouTube channel, I don't know how far you'd get, because there's probably a lot of brushes I'm using that you wouldn't have in Essentials. So Essentials gives you an idea of what you would get, you know, like at a bare minimum with Corel Painter, but then on top of that, you know, imagine that you'd get more features and more brushes if you got the full version. So even if you got an old version of Corel Painter, that would be fine too. You don't necessarily need the most recent version. But that's the software that I recommend because I use it. I use it myself, but I also use ArtRage sometimes. I use Krita sometimes if it's necessary. You know, like Krita has a decent animation feature, so I've done some animations in Krita. Very short, simple stuff, of course. Rebel is a really fun application because it does a really great job of simulating fluid media, like watercolor. Have I tried PaintStorm Studio? Sugarpuff wants to know. I tried to install it and it keeps getting flagged as a virus, and I just kind of got I could have spent more time trying to install it and eventually got it to work, but I kind of gave up on it. Something like that to me, when every other art application that I install works fine, if one is that difficult, it's kind of a turnoff, you know, because it's like if I'm going to show off something in a video, I don't want to, you know, a bunch of people being like, hey, you know, how come I can't install this? And then I have to start out the video by saying, well, you know, before you can start painting or even install the application, you have to go in your antivirus and do this and that. So I'll probably come back to it eventually because a lot of people have asked me about it, but in the meantime, I have a lot more applications that I know will install without a lot of hassle that I'll probably end up reviewing first. I hear good things about it, though. Swirl wants to know, do I know of any good animation software? What is it? TV Paint or something? I know there's some people that use that. Krita is all right. I mean, I don't know if you can do like a full-blown animation in it. What I used in the past when I was making like actual like cartoons and things like that, I used Flash, which is now Adobe Animate. Some people do animations with Photoshop too. Seratim wants to know what would be better for creating comic and manga type projects. I'm trying to remember which of the applications I reviewed had comic and manga panels. You might have to watch my videos on free art applications and paid art applications, because I know that was one of my criteria, was whether or not it had comic book panels and stuff. I know Manga Studio, which I think now became Clip Studio Pro, has a panel feature where you can actually draw like editable panels, and that on its own is really helpful. If the application has like text tools and word bubble tools, which Manga Studio does, those are really helpful because it just saves you time. You know, like the artwork's going to take you long enough as it is, but doing all the layout and all the word bubbles and text and stuff, that takes up a lot of time too. So if you can make that easier and more streamlined, I think that's worthwhile. But that's not to say that you couldn't draw your artwork in something like Corel Painter and then import it into something like Clip Studio Paint and then do your word bubbles and stuff. And that's what I did in the past when I haven't made a digital comic yet. I made one page of one. I've written a few scripts here and there and like intended to start one, but by the time I finished that one page, I'm just like, wow, that was a lot of work. I have to do this a lot more times, and then if this is successful, I'll have to do it all the time, and it just burns me out to the point to where I don't even, you know, by the time I finish a page, I'm just like, I don't want to do the rest. My heart's not in it, and I don't feel like I have any idea that I'm like that passionate about that I feel like is really going to take off. You know, like I could do it, but would I really have the passion to go out and market it and things like that? Probably not. So it's something that I'm interested in trying. I like to try a lot of things, you know, and then I see whether or not it's something I want to do more than once. Like programming, you know, I wanted to like program games and learn coding and stuff like that, and I spent a little bit of time learning it on my own. And eventually I was just like, you know what? Even if I got really good at this, I just don't like doing it. So while it would be cool to be able to make my own apps and my own games, I don't want to spend my entire life learning coding, or, you know, decades learning coding, or however long it takes. And then on top of that, I'd have to do all the other stuff to make the game too, which I already talked about how that's time consuming and overwhelming. And that's why they have teams of people who do stuff like that. So one person can do one task and another person can do another task. Kind of like we're doing here today, you know? Like we could have all started on the same drawing and one person does the color and one person does the line work and one person does the background. And we could have made a drawing together in a fraction of the time that it would take each of us to do it individually. Mr. Nobody tried Fire Alpaca and it seems fine. That's good. I think I ranked that towards the top of the applications, if I'm not mistaken. And Krinkle Cat's correct. Fire Alpaca is like the old version of Medibang. So you could get Medibang, and Medibang would basically be the same application fundamentally, but it would have a few more features, and I think it looks a little newer, and I think it's more supported. A lot of people are saying Medibang is just better in general. So yeah, I would maybe download Medibang too and install that and see. MWR says Medibang is good for manga. Got some cool drawings here. We got kind of a zombie thing on the top left. We got a character I feel like I've seen before, but I don't know who Sugarpuff is drawing here. Pretty cool character. Maybe it's original. Looks pretty cool, whatever it is. And there's a dog with wings, or a wolf with wings. There's Pikachus and Batman and Wonder Woman, I think. Super Wonder Woman. There's a kitten in a box up in the top right. That's Schrodinger's cat, maybe. Top left is from Tokyo Ghoul. I'll do a little more drawing here. I know this live stream said draw with me. I haven't really been doing much drawing. That's because I don't want to take up too much of the space. I also don't really know what to draw. Surprise, surprise. I'll do some little eyeball design thing over here in the corner. So how many people who are currently drawing with me today in DrawPile, how many of you, for how many of you is this the first time you're using DrawPile? That really did not come out eloquently. Who's using DrawPile for the first time today? That's what I should have said. You know DrawPile and how it can be used? Are you people who can use DrawPile, and if so, on the day that is today, are you capable and also actively using the application for its intended purpose, which is drawing at the same time with other people? Is that correct? Yes? That's how I should have said it. Yellow's kind of close to green, so that if anybody's wondering why that looks a little funky in the live stream, that's why. So theoretically, if you use the right color, you could draw here in DrawPile with a green color that ends up disappearing and no one can see it in the live stream, so you could write secret messages. I'm gonna try that. Let's see. Alright, I just wrote a secret message that only we can see. How cool are we? Sugar Puff's hot. Pigeon Milk's drawing a very buff looking dude up there in the top. Okay, so let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think about 7 people so far say it's their first time. 8. Krinkle Cat says DrawPile is better than Flock Mod. I haven't heard of Flock Mod or used it. And yes, you can draw over my art too if you want. That's totally cool. Plantera's gotta go. See you later, Plantera. And if anybody has anything they want to erase to make room for something new, feel free to erase. I'll erase my eyeball here. I'll be the first to do it. Because as I mentioned earlier, the art's not really going to go anywhere. Like, it won't be here on the canvas, but when people watch the video later on my channel, they're going to be able to see what you drew. So if you're not really working on it anymore, you want to start something new, you can. If you want to leave it up, it's totally cool. It's your work. Just a suggestion. It's the more variety we have here, the more we can show over time. Sparky's going for the background now on the Pegasus dog. I like that. Found a cool blender brush, it looks like. Yeah, I think that's the one thing that I would like the most is a nice blender in this application. A proper blender. Not a smudge. I don't want to push paint around, I want to be able to blend it. That's one of the things I like the most about Corel Painter is it has really nice blenders and it has a wide variety of blenders. You can make your own blenders that can do a lot of different things. You know, you might think blending is just one thing, like there's a blender, but there's really not. There's so many different methods of blending. And blending is very important because blending can accomplish a lot of detail. You can block in things and then blend them together to get transitions that would be a lot more time consuming to paint manually. You can also create texture and other sorts of details. Lots of ways to use it for special effects. Wonder if we're at capacity for the room. I wonder how many people are here. There's a lot of people here drawing. I haven't really been keeping an eye on the stats. It's also Clark's first time drawing with DrawPile. So quite a few people drawing for their first time with DrawPile. Hopefully it's something you guys can do more after the live stream too. There are lots of public streams that you can browse, so you know there's stuff like this going on all the time. I don't know that it's ever being live streamed though, so. I like the winged dog. That's pretty cool, Sparky. You all are just going to town. Oh, I see. It's a Frankenstein up there in the top. I thought it was Arnold. Now, one thing to keep in mind, Pigeon Milk. You're adding green right now, which you can see, but it's white in the actual live stream. So you can't use green or any color that's close to green because it'll get green screened out. So your Frankenstein is going to have to be like any other color than green. Sorry for anybody who wants to draw trees or grass or other things that are green. What will really be fun is to take this and then make a speed painting out of it and just speed it up and see all the different artwork come and go. And this will be up later for those of you who want to watch the whole thing. It's a good opportunity too to share this live stream with your friends. Let them know you're drawing, or after it's up. You know, after the stream is finished, when the video's up, send them a link on social media or do a tweet about it or something and say, hey, come check this out. It'll get more people interested in DrawPile. So I think it's a really fun application. I think this concept of people being able to draw together is a really fun thing. For those of you who want to draw but there's no space to draw, if you want, you can take a look at the live stream and kind of get an idea of that space on the left and right, that empty space that's outside of the box. You could certainly draw there too if you want to. I think some people are doing that over there on the left already. Another thing that I want to point out as far as being able to see what you're drawing in the live stream. There's some people who are using very, very thin diameter brushes. Those might not show up in the live stream too. Like I can see there's a few drawings here that are very, very thin pencil lines. Those are not necessarily going to show up. So if you actually look at the live stream and look at what you're drawing in the stream, that'll give you an idea of what's showing up and what's not. I'm just going to pour myself some water here. All this talking makes you thirsty. Looks like some people are making room now too. I appreciate that. I can erase my head here too. That doesn't need to be there. Oops. Switch to the eraser. That would help. There, now whoever's drawing the devil thing will have more room for the face. You might be wondering why I put this border here. It's kind of for a few different reasons. The main reason is DrawPile is kind of a very, very big canvas. I think it's almost, I don't know if it's an infinite canvas, but it can be very big, and where each person ends up zoomed into it individually can kind of differ. So if I didn't put the box there, then there might be people just drawing like all over the canvas, and I might not be able to like center the camera on a good spot on the screen to capture everything. So this just makes sure that everybody draws in a space that fits on the screen. I'll draw like a seahorse or something over here on the side. Ah, there we go. Somebody's got the paint bucket. I'll try to make sure to use closed lines so that you can fill this. I don't know if seahorses have nostrils or gills. I'm going to guess that they have gills, so I'm not going to draw any nostrils. That wouldn't make any sense. I like the color you chose for the seahorse, but that's also a color that's not going to show up in the live stream. because it's too close to the green, so I don't know if you want to fill it with a color that's a little more different than the green. Purple or a blue or a red or a yellow or pink. Anything except for like green or teal. See, someone else found some blenders there. I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna see if maybe they added some blenders that I don't know about. Oh, there's the watercolor brushes. And then if you set smudging on that, you can kind of blend, but not quite blending as I would imagine it should be. Yeah, you can kind of blend as you add color. But what I want is a blender that just straight up blends and doesn't add color. So turn color pickup off. That didn't help. I can turn opacity down. That seems to help a little bit. If you turn it all the way off, it doesn't do anything. If you set it really, really low, then it's almost a blender. So that actually almost works. It takes a little bit of effort though. I can set the opacity a bit higher. Yeah, that's alright. So not a blender by default. There should just be a blender tool. Let's see where that apple is here. Just showing and hiding some layers. Where is that apple? There it is. It's on color 2. I'll blend that apple a little bit. Now I'm going to try out the blender on that. Yeah, that's working great. Much better. So what I'm doing here is I'm making my own brush presets. That's what this little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is. These can each be presets. I'm going to make an airbrush. I think maybe we want that to be an actual brush. There we go, got a nice airbrush now. So it's also a nice feature that you can make your own custom brushes. Add a little detail to that apple there. really cool clown looking thing with a very odd nose. I don't want to say what I think that looks like, but I think we can all agree it looks like something. It's a shake, a shark, a crocodile, all kinds of cool stuff going on here. Alex colored the seahorse. Thanks, Alex. And yes, you changed the color. That shows up much better now. Let's see, what else to draw? Somebody's drawing a pear. Let's just draw a whole bunch of fruit over here. Someone's scribbling over our drawing. It's not very nice. Drawing a little orange down here. Nice buff pear guy, that's pretty cool. Another thing that would be nice would be an alpha lock feature. I don't think they have that in this application. See that being very useful. Oh, let's see. I'm going to try something here. That's kind of cool. Different backgrounds. I'll put it back on the white. It's hard to see. So I think I'm going to go to about 2 hours for the stream. We're at an hour and 42 minutes, so go for, you know, about another 15 minutes or so, and then I will call it a day. So I'm roasting here under my lights. Some people would say that drawing and painting is not it's not hard work, you know. It's not like, I don't know, going out and doing construction or something. But you do end up sweating while you're working, whether you're under lights or not. I just find that if you're really focused on a drawing, and you need, you know, not to mention that you're also moving your arm around a lot and you're using a lot of mental energy, it actually does kind of fatigue you. Live streams especially, because you got to be on it. You have to be constantly thinking about what you're going to say, and so I find that it feels like work. When you're just drawing on your own and you can pace yourself and take breaks, and you know, you don't have to constantly be doing something, I think it's not as fatiguing because you have more of an opportunity to rest as you work. And Alex Draws is offering to set up a session after I'm done. Feel free to do that and set up your sessions and continue on drawing if you like. I do have a tutorial on my channel for DrawPile. It doesn't go into detail about absolutely everything you can do with DrawPile, but it's enough to get you started using it, and if you want to start a session or join a session, it'll help you do that. I wonder if it says how many people we have drawing somewhere. I could count. I think we got about 13 or 14 people drawing. Looks like somebody's... If you see layers appearing and disappearing and reappearing, that's just... it's an easy way to find which layer you're working on by turning the layer visibility on and off. Oscar likes the rabbit and the carrot. Yeah, I don't know what that thing was where it turned yellow. Maybe there's somebody just filled the canvas for a minute or something. What else to draw here? Let's see. I'm going to erase my seahorse, our seahorse, to make room for something else. Kind of looks cool with the lines removed. Just gotta find what layer that's on. Thanks, Alex. Double teaming that erasing there. I think this, yeah, that thing. Let's get rid of that too. Teamwork. That's teamwork. Oh, let's see what to draw. I'm gonna try using some of these more smudgy brushes here to do an eyeball. Just a tip for anybody who's resizing their brush. You can use the left and right bracket keys to resize your brush incrementally. This will be an attempt at trying to draw something semi-realistically. I usually do kind of more cartoony stuff, just because it shows up better. I'll give this a try now that I found something to blend with. Alex is going to do the pupil there, it looks like. Work on the eyelashes here. The brush wasn't working the way I wanted it to for the lashes, so I'm not going to do them very detailed. Yeah, I'm getting some pretty decent results with this airbrush. Let's add a little bit of red around the eye here. I'll try blending it a bit too. Where's that blender? Kind of a cool little eyeball going on up there. Might be fun sometime to try to do a realistic drawing with this application. I'm sure it can be done. I'm sure it's been done. Put some outline around the iris here. Uh-oh, some layers disappeared. Undo, undo. There we go. even put an eyebrow up here. I might use a different brush for that though. Alex, we got a wow on our eyeball. Let's see, what else can we do here? Oh, thank you, Alex. Well, you helped me with that, so it's a group effort. I'll do a little nose down here at the bottom. I was talking about anatomy earlier, and that's funny. Alex and I were going to do the same spot there. We're like synchronized here. I was talking about there being a lot of different views of stuff, and the nose is really one of those things where it can look drastically different depending on the angle. And so I can always practice more drawing anatomy, drawing anything really, because I think everybody can improve for their entire life. So I'm by no means an expert at drawing. Some of you might look at some of this stuff and think it's awesome, but I'm just like you. I look at my work and I think it looks terrible sometimes. You know, not all the time. I'll look at stuff and I'll think it looks good for a short period of time, and then I'll look at it a little bit later and I'll see whatever flaws I accidentally added, and then I'll pick it apart until I don't like it anymore. So that's just a natural way to feel as an artist. That's what's going to help you continue to get better at drawing. Nostrils are one of those things that you usually think of being dark, but sometimes there's a bit of a highlight that goes up into them. That's kind of what I'm doing here. So that's why it helps to look at reference images occasionally. You don't want to rely entirely on a reference. The nose looks really gross in the live stream because there's this like these airbrushes are blending with the green that's underneath, and so they're not exactly showing up as I see them on my screen. It looks like there's like a bunch of boogers going on here in the nose. Let me try to fill that in a little bit more. here's what we can do. We can also switch to the old Elgato just to take a little sneak preview of how this looks. Move that over a bit here. There we go, now we can see more of it. So this is how it looks to me. It's pretty cool. And here's us drawing the nose over here in the corner. Very nice looking little nose down there. Kitsu is going to sleep. Good night. Thanks for drawing. It was a good time had by all. I'm just about done too. Actually, I am at the 2-hour mark. So I'll give everybody a few more minutes to wrap this up. If you want to sign your work, you want to put down your website or your YouTube channel or your DeviantArt or whatever. If you want people to go check out more of your work, feel free to do so. Feel free to continue on and make your own DrawPile sessions and keep on drawing together if you want to keep doing that. This video is recorded, so it'll be up on my channel a little bit later when it's done processing, and you'll be able to watch through and see all the drawings. If you're not subscribed to my channel, I'd love to have you subscribe. It's the best way to get notifications when I'm live streaming in the future and when I release new videos. I release new videos about 5 times a week. So there's lots of different stuff out there for you to watch. Quite a few DrawPile videos too. Like I mentioned earlier, there's the DrawPile tutorial, and then I have a whole bunch of other live streams where I've used DrawPile with various people. Friends, fellow artists, the public. Lots of cool stuff out there. There's Alex Draws. And you'll be able to see in the video, there's a little word bubble that shows people's handles who've been drawing, so you'll be able to see exactly who is drawing what in the video. I'll go ahead and switch back to full screen here. Let's try this here. So this is what it's been looking like for those of us who have been drawing. And you can see some things that looked a little weird on the white background now make a little more sense. See, I should add some more lightness to this eye up here. Yeah, I gotta say it's a little bit more comfortable when you have these airbrushes and blenders. If I don't stop that drawing, I'll just keep going forever on it. Alright everybody, it looks like people got a chance to sign their work. Sorry anybody who's not finished drawing. I'll try to do more of these sessions in the future. Looks like a lot of people had fun. And then I'll leave the chat open for a little bit here. If people want to share links to a new session, feel free to do that. Alex Draws is going to go make one. Tersh says it's cool to see yourself drawing on the stream. Tersh's been using DrawPile for a long while now. SD Brockman says it shows, definitely. Suratim says it was awesome, hope to do it again someday. Bye for now. See you later, Suratim. So I'm just gonna pop back in for a minute here so I can say goodbye. You can see all these wonderful drawings behind me that we did together here in DrawPile. So again, make sure to subscribe to my channel, whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching it later. Somebody's going through and Xing it out. Yes, destroy it all. It's all going to disappear anyways. I will save this and I'll use it as a thumbnail, so if your artwork is in here, we'll be able to see it. So anyways, thanks for watching, and thanks for drawing with me today, and I will see you for the next live stream, which will probably be next Friday, but I'll keep everyone posted on that on social media. See you all later.